Thanks for watching TechWiki. Click the subscribe button, then enable notifications with the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. Internet Explorer was a fixture on nearly all Windows PCs from the mid-1990s to the mid-2000s. In fact, it was estimated that Internet Explorer's usage share was as high as around 95% in 2003. But once viable alternatives like Firefox and Chrome hit the market, Internet Explorer lost its stranglehold on our digital lives faster than MC Hammer lost his fortune. So what led to its demise, and why was it such a widely reviled browser? Well, funnily enough, a lot of Internet Explorer's problems had their roots in Microsoft's desire not to frustrate its users, but rather to innovate. You see, Microsoft tried to set its early versions of IE apart from its competitors by focusing on adding new features rather than simply trying to make the browser as fast as possible. And they had a measure of success by this metric. In fact, IE was the first browser to support a number of technologies that are ubiquitous on today's web, such as CSS, which is a modern standard for web page design that allows pages to look pretty and be more functional compared to the clunky messes of the early 90s. IE also started using its Trident Rendering engine with version 4.0, which is the piece of code that controls how a web page's underlying code will be turned into what you see on your screen. And Trident was groundbreaking because it allowed certain elements on a web page to change on the fly. Back in 1997, this was like a huge deal. Later, IE introduced the underlying support for Ajax, not to be confused with the Greek hero, the household cleaner, or the Dutch soccer club, which supports using server data to display up-to-date information on a web page without requiring a refresh, a concept that is critical for modern sites like Gmail and Google Maps that are highly interactive. These features and others made it so that developers flocked to Internet Explorer because it supported technologies that could make their websites more interactive and visually appealing. By contrast, IE's competitors at the time, such as Netscape, often couldn't handle these features without slowing down or even crashing. So that was how it got popular. Also, some arguably pretty anti-competitive stuff. But changing gears here, the problems that eventually made the browser infamous started to rear their ugly heads in the early 2000s. With such a stranglehold on the market, Microsoft neglected to put in enough resources to continue to improve IE. And as the internet, as well as online security threats, continued to evolve, the browser gained a reputation for being both slow and insecure. Making matters worse, Microsoft made it difficult to switch to an alternative web browser by deeply integrating IE into Windows and making it very hard to uninstall, throwing away needlessly much of its previously earned goodwill with its users. By the mid-2000s, rival browsers such as Firefox took advantage of this time of weakness by embracing open web standards for speed, reliability, and security, rather than relying on a host of proprietary technologies like Internet Explorer did. These open standards had finally reached the point where developers no longer had to rely on Microsoft's proprietary solutions to support interactivity. So that was a pretty big shift. So with that, IE's market share dropped precipitously, and yet Microsoft still didn't seem to be seriously trying to address the problem. And all the while, more and more pages appeared broken or improperly rendered in IE. It wouldn't be until 2009 that Microsoft would get around to releasing Internet Explorer 8, which featured significant improvements in standards compliance and security. But by that point, IE had already lost between a quarter and a third of its 2003 market share. So the damage had already been done, and Google Chrome's appearance in 2009 all but assured IE's demise. Although it hung on for a few more years, Microsoft finally replaced Internet Explorer with the Edge browser, whose rendering engine was purged of all of IE's old code in 2015 after Internet Explorer's usage share dropped below 20%. So today, IE only still exists so that folks can use legacy websites written with its proprietary features in mind. You may have encountered this if you've had to log into a workplace network, for example, and also as a lesson that you can't just sit on your hands while the world passes you by. Speaking of sitting on my hands, I'm sitting on them right now. Also, I'm going to tell you about FreshBooks. FreshBooks is the super simple to use invoicing tool that actually does a lot more than help you create and send slick looking invoices. With FreshBooks, you can actually create and send slick looking invoices, and it takes just a couple of seconds, but it also helps you track your time with their timesheet function, manage your expenses, and keep track of who owes you what. It also has a feature that tells you when your client looks at an invoice for the first time, and their fully featured mobile apps for both iOS and Android have all the functionality of their desktop versions, so you can take FreshBooks with you wherever you go. If you have any questions, you can reach out to their support staff where you will speak to a real human. Yes, hello, real human, how are you? No phone tree, no escalations, no return calls, just answers. So visit freshbooks.com, we're gonna have that linked in the video description, and enter TechQuickie in the How Did You Hear About Us section. You get a 30-day free trial. So thanks for watching our videos. Like, dislike, check out our other videos. Leave a comment with video suggestions, and don't forget to subscribe. If you do, I assure you horrible things will happen, and they will happen right away. All right, go ahead, test it. Wait 5 seconds. Don't subscribe in the next 5 seconds here. Wow! Look at that. I scared you. Oh, here's a funny closing joke we didn't end up including. So what's your web browser of choice? Have you followed the crowd and gone with Chrome? Are you still holding on to Firefox? Or do you like Edge just because it reminds you of a certain browser from your youth? Just edgier.